Hey everybody, welcome back to Overwatch Contenders South America. If you're just joining us, we just witnessed Brazil Gaming House keep their perfect Contenders season alive, defeating Caverna 4-0. For this next match, we've got Revoltz Esports going up against Nocturns Gaming. Revoltz Esports coming into this 0-2 with a 0-map win and 8-map loss differential, and Nocturns Gaming coming in at 1-1. I'm John Kick Tripod Horseman, joined on the desk by your casters, so you're probably already used to seeing them. Oh man, what a good looking casting duo right there. Lemon Kiwi and LaFawn. Let's jump straight into this match. Lemon, I'm going to ask you first, what are you most excited about this next upcoming matchup here between Nocturns and Revoltz?
Sort of the predictability and unpredictability of Nocturns. They have a substitute Ram who mainly comes in as the Genji player. Epox really is only substituted in to play like Hanzo and Pharah. So what Nocturns are going to play in their match, and also that Nocturns are in a playoff spot, Revoltz are not. So this match is so important to both of them.
What about you, LaFawn? What should we really be looking forward to in this match?
I think, first of all the compliments are going to my head, so we should probably tone that down just a little
Literally,
bit.
because your haircut, right?
But like
I didn't know we had James Bond on the desk today.
Oh, oh no. On the game stage side, though, on Revoltz Esports Lab, one thing to note is that they have two standout players, in my opinion. Their hit scan player in TH7 has just been absolutely massive throughout this thing. He showed up against BGH. They were opportunities last match. Revoltz, I think it was a bright spot for them. TH7, and then of course Tiago on their flex support. So the Tiago's combining for some flashiness here on their setup. I would say those two in particular are what I kind of expect to see from them. On their whole, though, Revoltz, they're sort of revolving around those two specific players, and it's going to be a case: can the rest of their team stand up for that?
I'm really excited to get into this match. I know the teams are just about ready for us, but I have to ask you both really quick. Who do you see walking away from this match the winner, Lemon?
3-1 for Nocturns.
And then LaFawn, what about you, man?
Ooh, that's really tough. I'm gonna say, you know what? We're gonna go the opposite direction. We're gonna say, I'm gonna say fifth map. I'm gonna say Revoltz takes it in 5.
All right, 3-2 Revoltz for LaFawn, 3-1 Nocturne for Lemon Kiwi. I can't wait to get started. The suspense is killing me, and we've got an excellent casting duo coming up. It's the Boop NATO. Oh, guys, it's so good to see you again. Have fun in this one and take it away.
Oh, we are having fun. Look at these faces. That is in reaction to LaFawn's prediction. I would love to cast a Game 5, as I believe Ham and I, in our entire history of casting, have casted one Game 5 in the dozens or quadrillions of games that we've casted.
Yeah,
so
somehow,
that would be pretty great.
Somehow when we cast, the teams just can't wait to get done.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
Like, all right,
I know, but
yeah, please.
We want to provide you with more Hamosaurus or, the Boop NATO, but we're going to try our hardest today. And we're going to start on the Lijiang Tower. And I'm actually really interested to see, Ham, if Revoltz is their 0-2 record because of who they played, or is it stuff they have to work on?
Yeah, are they going to be able to bring it back on Control, one of those brawly map types where we often see, this is the place for teams who are potentially, sitting in that underdog position to bring things back. A lot of potential for individual carry plays. You kind of got that objective, you cap it, you forget it, you can focus entirely on catching up on those kills. And we will have 4 results, 2 new names coming in to play for this team, Edegas and Barijan, bringing that Hanzo and Lucio. So, maybe Boop, this is just going to be the new look for the Revoltz team.
We also have the Tiago Triumvirate on Revoltz now. Only 2 last week, but it doesn't look like TH7. Not in.
No,
so
TH7.
It looks like Edegas is going to be taken over, and that's going to be really interesting because TH7 popped off against the best team in the land. So we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on Edegas and Barijan as this first point on Gardens takes over, and we have a Pharmacy versus no pharmacy. So usually you see the combo on both sides here, but that's not what we're going to see as the fight on the point has started to happen, and Orisa has put that shield down and is starting to make a attempt. Let's see who's going to get the first pick. That's going to decide who will get this first point and the first flip. And it looks like in terms of positioning, Nocturns actually has the advantage. They have to move Orisa out of that shield as the Tracer almost gets back headshot based on where her rewind was. And Nocturns is going to convert on these kills and take the first back.
Nocturnes showing up really strong. We saw that Barijan caught between a Winston and a Tracer place, getting sandwiched there, the first one down, and without your mercy, there's no way for Revoltz to push in. That was actually a super strange team composition that we've never seen really before on Garden's Orisa Roadhog, but Revoltz, they are going to swap back to kind of that classic dive look. You have that Farah in the air with Edigas, and then Leon on the ground. So Epoch's not going to be able to reign quite as free here. Definitely going to have to keep an eye out. But with that barrage on hand, if you can get an early positioning right on top of all of the Revoltz team, you may well be able to win this fight before the engagement even starts.
Nocturnes has a lot on hand. They potentially could have 5 as his Pulse Bomb. He's going to try to one-clip the Zenyatta, and that's not going to happen. And Tiago's actually going to take the 1v1, die with the Pulse Bomb. The Rock Barrage needs to be big, maybe even bigger than Fritz's self-destruct that we just saw pop off just then. With the res, it's still the numbers game is in favor for Nocturnes Gaming, and they're pushing them all the way back to spawn at this point. No contest on the point.
Yeah, and Epoch didn't even need to pop that rocket barrage. It's just some good old vanilla Overwatch clicking heads over here. However, Leon gonna have that infosight up soon, so all the squishies from Nocturne's gonna be watching their flanks here. Ocular Ross ready with that sound barrier. No, it's taken out. Lucio down, and no defensive ultimate as well, gonna prompt that Primal Rage from Sentinel.
And the Sentinel is gonna knock Tiago off, so what could have been a bad situation for Nocturnes has been turned around, and it's a 5v5, and because of the environmental kill, the rest won't be available. But Tiago going down, and Edigas using that rocket barrage first. Epox has had it for so long, but Edigas is gonna have the first effective one of the round so far, and Revoltz is contesting this point, and they have to win it at this point at 86%, and that's exactly what they're gonna do. A lot of people are low right now, but in the end, Leon and the rest of the team are gonna convert on the kills. They just have to convert on the point.
Yeah, they got to clean up the last couple of stragglers here because Nocturnes has kept control this entire time, and it will be a 99-100 when Edigas goes down. Aegis is back in on this Tracer. Fricks gets the kill onto AGM. Well, Nocturnes Gaming just clear this out right now. Barrage now from Epoch just to get the last bits of damage in. Barijan is out of it. A Transcendence too late to save the fellow support here for Revoltz. There's one Angry Monkey on the point just trying to keep everything alive for his team, but it's looking less and less likely.
And classic South American Overwatch, never give up attitude, paying off, high risk, high reward. Revolt had the victory. The time to kill was just too short, and the time of the round has run out for them. Is 100% on the side of Nocturnes Gaming to take this first round in a dominant fashion.
Ooh, it was looking so close for Revoltz. So many of those fights, Boop. It's just they couldn't quite seal the deal. You saw that there was a lot of pressure being put on Barijan on that Mercy. Was checking out that hero's POV. Every one of her teammates was so incredibly low. She was zipping across the map trying to dodge bullets just to get that healing on. So Revoltz now, hopefully they can play maybe a little bit more together, get some of that healing down so they can extend those fights, get those finishing blows in to actually capture that point. As we move on now onto Control Center, this is going to be the playground of Reinhardt's and Zarya's everywhere. Nocturnes going with that classic GOATS, the 3-3 composition, whereas Boop, you're crossing your fingers, and so am I. Edigas is indeed rolling out on this Doomfist, and this has already become a much better game.
Well said, well said. And Doomfist is great on a Control Center because of all the walls it's made for him at this point, and we're going to see him get a huge pullback on that slam onto the ground. Not going to convert on any kills. Might have needed to be a little bit more aggressive there, but all the cooldowns were down. Does get the hit onto Brigitte, but no wall to convert on that. But as of right now, 50% on his ult charge is huge, and he's zoning Brigitte out of the fight. So no heals, because you got to do damage as Brigitte to get those heals. And he finally find the first conversion of a kill for Doomfist, but in the end, it was just all for ult charge.
A little bit playing for that long game. Definitely can come back in with that Meteor Strike, his Edigas, but Nocturne will take this first point, and it's going to be much more difficult for Revoltz to try and push into this. Moira's already going to have that Coalescence at the ready. Bokeh, will he pull the trigger soon? Sentinel also close. There we have it.
And the trigger has been pulled as the heals and the damage are out, and it's pushing Revoltz off of the point. Ooh, but a good charge, but good bubble to save the team as well. And Edigas finally showing off why Doomfist is good right now. Not going to see the Space Jam combo. We're just going to see a bunch of kills the old-fashioned way by Edigas. But again, time to convert on these kills a little slow, and Nocturnes get some free percentage.
Yep, nearly a little over 40% for Nocturnes, but the good news for Revoltz is they were able to capture this, and now they're going to be able to use AGM's grab to hold Nocturnes before they can even get on the point. Toxin getting the draw on Sentinel in terms of that Earth Shatter was huge. That was a beautiful combo with the Meteor Strike. They're going to try for another one.
Ooh.
Oh,
Just
okay.
gonna let you watch this one. Yeah, that's what
okay.
Overwatch is now.
All right.
Dragaton combos. I've made a rule for our casting duo that we don't get excited over those unless they're like really
hold
intense.
It down, but
that one was pretty exciting because the grab was set up so well, and those dragons are not hungry at all. As Nocturnes just has to come back, and that's 20% on the clock for them thanks to that grab. The grab of a Nocturne's own coming through. Self-destruct only going to get AGM, but we're going to see why Goats is strong here in just 1 second. As the HP stacking has happened for Nocturnes, and that comp gets stronger the longer they fight.
Yep, and a little bit of an overextension from Toxin is going to give Nocturnes that window to drive themselves onto the point, and they will convert into a recap for themselves. Good news, though, they will have basically evened up the ultimate economy here. We do have a Dragon Strike online for Leon. Very difficult to get kills with that by themselves, though, but Edigas diving in deep, trying to disrupt that backline.
Not able to connect, though, so very effort at the beginning, and Earth Shatter comes down, and it's going to be huge for Nocturnes Gaming as the kills follow. So good ult usage for a Nocturnes, punishing Revoltz's positioning there.
Yeah, absolutely. You saw that Sentinel was able to set himself up on that flank, get the drop onto Toxin, who was trying to shield against the Coalescence from Bokeh. Left his team open here, but Edigas going to have that Meteor Strike once again coming through. That might be Revolt's way out of this choke. You need something to burst through because Nocturnes are playing their positional advantage perfectly, really catching Revoltz up, and this is down to their last fight.
The self-destruct could be huge as well, but gets clipped on the Earth Shatter, and all the HP is actually going to turn to nothing, thanks because of Revoltz's ultimates at this time, punishing Nocturne's positioning.
Oh man, both of these teams are I love this so much. The Earth Shatters have been amazing from Toxin so far, and Edigas staying with this Doomfist. If you're Nocturnes Gaming, you have to be just scratching your head. He has consistently been disrupting this Ghost, which is all about the coordination, the rotation of those shields, but you can't do it when there's a giant man with a fist in your backline.
And the self-destruct is going to come out along with the Meteor Strike, but the self-destruct will be better getting two. And that can spell doom for Revoltz, and that's exactly what we're going to see as the rest of the kills fall through, and at 94%, Revoltz will not have a chance to come back to the point.
Oh, they're going to have to be extremely speedy. Who can possibly get there, though? No Tracer, no Lucio even. And there we have it. Nocturnes will take the very first win of this series here on V-Town.
That was fun.
Dude, so fun.
Yeah, I love seeing the Doomfist. We got some good Meteor Strikes. We got some good fist action, but Nocturnes on the control center, very back and forth. But the control in the end, the self-destruct getting 2 kills sealed the deal.
Yeah, it's just really unfortunate that Revoltz died with many of their ultimates up in that last fight. AGM had the grab at the ready, just didn't have the chance to really use it. It could have won them the fight because we saw right there play of the game going to Leon. When Revoltz has that, window, they're able to execute on those ultimate combos, which paid up huge. First, Earth Shatter into Meteor Strike. Beautiful, by the way, and so refreshing. Second was kind of, the classic Dragaton, but still really good. Got them that clean team fight win, which is what you really need on control, because oftentimes, it's so difficult to clean up those stragglers, and you have to remember, as long as the enemy team maintains control at that point, trades are still exactly what they want.
Well, and I think the death knell for Revoltz there was time to kill on both rounds of Lijiang there. They had opportunities to take it, but they couldn't get those tanks down fast enough.
Yeah, Edigas was doing his best, but one of the difficulties as a solo Doomfist running with that Reinhardt Zarya is if you do leap in the back, you better be landing those combos. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself off in no man's land in a very dangerous spot.
And while that first E onto the ground when we were spectating Edigas there hit 4 people, there was nothing to follow it up. It actually just ended up putting them in a bad position. And so you wait 2 seconds, that might have actually converted on a kill on that Bermuda.
Yeah, it could have been good to see Lucio come out to better enable Edigas on that Doomfist, but regardless, Revoltz, I am really excited to see what they're going to be bringing through in the rest of the maps of this series, because remember, I believe the desk touched upon it, they are kind of at the bottom of the standings, but they have shown they still have plenty of fight left.
They have a lot of heart, these guys on Revoltz to do, and Nocturns is going to try to break it here on our next map, which will be Hybrid. And the way that this has gone, I think Revoltz might have a chance here.
Yes, particularly if we can see things go maybe on Eichenwald. You see, that's another place that I doubt we're going to be seeing the Doomfist, but the Hanzo was actually working out beautifully for Revoltz as well.
Yep, and definitely by that Dragaton combo. I think if they can mimic that kind of success on a larger scale on Eichenwald, then they will be a lot more successful. But one thing, we didn't see very strong Pharah play coming from them, and that's something that we do see some from Eichenwald. Are you expecting dual pharmacies here?
Most likely. They ran it on Gardens, and why not? Pharah already gives you such an early advantage to be able to kind of attack, like go through above that choke point, which if we harken back to meta's past was always that hard hold, so difficult to get through. And Pharah, you can just toot over the bridge. And Barijan actually having a pretty good game on Mercy as well, so being able to bring that hero through, because otherwise a little bit quiet on kind of the other heroes. Tiago as well, not really seeing a high impact on that Zenyatta, so we never know.
So now my question is, you've gotten to see TH7 once. I know we only have one game with Eddie Gas, but they feel different to me, and Eddie Gas is bringing like a type of flavor that I like, but TH7 was consistent even on the first map that they played on Control last week.
Yeah, TH7 coming from, I believe, Black Dragons, but regardless, TH7 was definitely a standout hit scan player. And if you are going to map like Eichenwald, where you're expecting Pharahs to be reigning supreme, that's always a tool in your chest that you may want to be bringing forth against Nocturns. So not quite sure. Edigas had a pretty good showing, but though we only got to see him play twice, and one of them was a really strange Doomfist. So,
well, I wonder if this is a time where you would end up getting a sub in, right? Where you sub him out, get TH7 in there, who, again, I want to reiterate, because it was very apparent that he was by far the MVP of Revoltz last week against BGH. So very interesting to me, at least, the decision to put the two new players in. But honestly, I guess proved himself to me on that Doomfist at least a little bit. I'm really excited to see what else they can bring. But enough about the DPS, a little bit more about the support. You were talking about Barijan and his support play. Is it bringing something new to the table? And is that part of the reason why they're a little bit more successful on Control today?
Potentially. We certainly saw like a lot of half of the support battle is just staying alive, right? The movement from the Mercy seems very smooth, very good. And as expected, we will be seeing that Mercy once again here on Eichenwald with Nocturns, I believe, on the attack first indeed, and there will be Epochs and Ocula Ross flying the friendly or not so friendly skies. Oh,
not so friendly indeed, as Leon's going to get the pot shot on Ocula Ross, not pot shot, headshot. But Tiago is going to be running this hook and the Hammond hook. What is it? the ball and chain, or
Halton hook, but
yeah, Halton hook. That's what it is. My brain turned off just for 1 second. But Tiago's going to be running it, and I'm really excited to see it. I love the fact that these Zenyatta players are the ones running the Roadhog, and we've seen some very effective ones so far, even just today. And all you need is that pick and that coordination. Let's see if they're going to be able to do that, as the rest of Nocturnes just peeking, trying to get that ult charge. We do have an engage from the Sentinel. Let's see if anything's going to happen. We do get that first hook. It's on Fritz, and the DMAC is going to be huge. They're going to be down a tank for this first fight, and they're going to let him live, so he's going to have to decide whether to feed himself, get the ult back, or go back to spawn. And it looks like he's going to try to get his ult back, and he's actually very, very close, as we do have a 4v4 on the point, and that will be for the advantage of Nocturnes Gaming, thanks to those spawns. And with Orisa being low, I don't see how they don't take this first point.
Indeed, Barijan, when you're running that solo Mercy, you have to be able to keep her safe. You saw them able to focus down Sentinel to keep that Mercy alive for just a couple of seconds, but Aegis was able to pick up the kill with that Storm Arrow. So once that Mercy falls, it's basically a lost cause for Revoltz to try to continue to hold that point. So they will be swapping off onto a bit more of that high ground control composition. Toxin and AGM now on that Winston Diva to better try and control, especially Epochs in the air, who has been getting a lot of work done on this Pharah.
And Revolt's not able able to maintain that high ground positioning on the castle, and it's going to have to use the res on Toxin, but this pick from Eddie Gas can be really big for their defense. Let's see if any other things are going to come out of this, as they do have a numbers advantage right now, but yet again, a res comes through and the numbers are going to even up here. Eddie Gas with that Dragon Strike, though, can make things happen, and great. Don't need Dragon Strike when you just have a Stormbow, getting 2 kills, and this is going to be a great defense from Revoltz.
Best defense is just a good offense for Head as AGM picks up that kill onto Sentinel, and this was a fight that Revoltz had to win. If they give up that high ground so early on with Nocturns running that dual sniper, it's going to be such a hard positional disadvantage to overcome for the defense here. But now they can try and stop up Nocturns at this portcullis, keep them from being able to get onto this open square without using any ultimates. Boca does have that Transcendence early. If they could force it, that'd be a huge win for Revoltz.
Toxin and AGM are in the back line. The Transcendence is going to keep them alive. The Aegis is going to take advantage of Toxin's positioning and get the kill. The res will come down. Not going to be able to boost him out of that res, which is very unfortunate. The Drag Strike in his zones the people out, get them around the corner, and in the end, this is Nocturne's fight to lose.
Yep, they're getting finally some free movement on this payload here. But Eddie Gas, we were talking about TH7, but this DPS sub is definitely making his worth felt. Leon gets the head pick onto Ocular Ross as well. Dragon's just going to make sure nobody's thinking about getting any funny ideas about staying on this payload too long.
It was Nocturne's fight to lose, but with that Primal Rage and that pick, it actually has turned around and put it into the advantage of Revoltz. And what we're seeing right now is another defense and another example of a never give up attitude paying off here on the payload.
Yeah, absolutely. We might see other teams back off seed, more space, but Revoltz, they were ready. They were like, okay, we'll just get more trades. We'll just kill more. And now Aegis is going to swap off onto that Tracer, potentially to try and pressure out the Revoltz support line, who really haven't been feeling too much pressure this whole time. Tiago will have that Transcendence, whereas Boca was forced to use it in that last fight. And so Revoltz right now, they're just holding strong here. Good foundational positional advantage. Leon, oh, barely.
Nice crouch. Crouch saving them from the self-destruct. And look at this, Revoltz coming in with the kills. Aegis doing his job, but it's the only one doing so for Nocturnes Gaming thus far. And Revoltz gets an easy win on this fight.
Yeah, incredible right here. Edegos was actually free farming in the Nocturnes backline this entire time. Leon, you saw Aegis trying to do his best, 1v3ing the entire Widow, Mercy, Zenyatta, powwow up there on that high ground. He got the kill onto the Zen, but in the meantime, Edegos was just feasting on the tank line that was trying to get some movement on this payload. So really good positioning from Revoltz, splitting themselves, so Nocturnes have to invest heavily to get rid of any single one of these snipers.
Nocturnes is going to come in this next fight with 5 ultimates. Sentinel just needs a little bit more tickling to happen, and then the infrared sights are going to go down, so they know exactly where everyone is on both sides. So no hiding from these Widows in this open space. Primal Rage pop for Sentinel, but Eddie Gas is going to get the first kill here. Sentinel is going to have to run away as he's getting taken low in Primal Rage. That is what feels Batman for sure. Boca has the Transcendence. Are you going to use it even though you are down some men? And yes is the answer. With 1.5 seconds left, this is going to mean that they're only going to have one more fight after this if for some reason they do lose. But with the kill on to Barijan, the advantage is on Nocturnes. No supports available on either side at this point. Tiago still with that Transcendence. Boca taken so low, 4 HP, but it's going to take down Winston instead.
This is still so good for Revoltz, though. AGM has been squatting on this payload the entire time. Look how long it took, how many resources Nocturne invest just to try and get that one kill onto Barijan. They lost almost all of their members, and so even in the end, with that Revoltz Mercy dead, Nocturne still don't have the manpower to push this through. Now Epoch is going to swap onto the Brigitte, a surprising pick that we've actually seen very often on the Eichenwald Streets phase, just to see if she can get potentially a shield stun onto some of these snipers, but that's going to mean that the entire Nocturnes team needs to make that full rotation onto the high ground, because Brigitte by herself still going to be able to get focused down by Edegos on this Hanzo, who is barely staying alive.
Oh, Aegis takes advantage of that. Not enough heals from that Mercy, and is Aegis going to be able to take advantage of the positioning here? Got a lot of squishy bodies, and is going to be able to take down 2, or help take down 2, as Fricks is going to get the confirm onto AGM, and Nocturne's doing exactly what they need to do to continue on this payload, but Eichenwald Streets phase is so long, the defense will have an opportunity to come back. They're going to come back with 2 big ultimates.
Yep, that Dragon Strike can absolutely be shot straight away down this bridge to zone away from the payload. This is an overtime push. Nocturnes cannot afford to leave this payload.
And the Dragon Strike comes down on the payload. Overtime has commenced. Nocturns is looking for this win. These are must-win games for each of these teams. And Eddie Gas is going to put his team on his shoulder and get the first 3 kills here. But Fritz is going to get the DMAC. That can actually be huge for Revoltz. No beef for them. And that's what you need on the defensive side. But Eddie Gas somehow made it behind the payload, getting the kills they need. Nocturns not going to be able to get the second point.
Wow, Eddie Goss, man, we didn't know much about this player before he was subbed into the team this time around. Eddie Goss, Eddie, great.
Sorry for doubting you, man.
Yeah, wow. You know, it's
my whole line of questioning before this game is now just null as he's proven himself.
Certainly shown himself coming through, and that Hanzo play. We've seen Hanzo after Hanzo in multiple teams. Liko on BGH. We wanted to talk about Overwatch League EQO on the Philadelphia Fusion. When you get a Hanzo getting that Mercy pocket and he is hitting his shots, there's very, very little that the enemy team can do besides a full, 4-2 dive into the backline to just laser him down, keep him on his toes, because that Hanzo play was crucial to Revoltz getting the hold before the second point. So many times we saw that Nocturns was able to whittle down Revoltz to the last couple of members. Everybody's so incredibly low on both sides. A sneeze would knock over, your Winston, and then surprise Hanzo. He had actually been on the high ground the entire time, keeping himself safe, and then gets that last couple of arrows in to save the fight.
They couldn't quite identify exactly where he was coming from, was my read on things, because he ended up behind the payload. And when you have a playmaking Hanzo, which is my favorite kind of Hanzo, the flashy ones, double jumps, tons of headshots, stormbow kills, you're going to be winning that game. That's pretty much it, and especially the way that Overwatch is working right now. Good Hanzo is potentially the best asset you have for your team.
100%. We talk about the, giving resources to your Hanzo, but the way that Edigas was actually playing it, that last defense as well, basically a solo flanker.
Yeah.
Able to use that wall climb, that lunge mobility to get him into unexpected places, always taking the flank to Nocturns Gaming, and that gave them a huge advantage here. Nocturns have to be keeping an eye out, not just to the fight in front of them, but the right eyeball peeled to the right side, the left side, behind the side, all over the places, as we do see kind of this classic Pharah defense here. It will be Aegis still on that Hanzo as Revoltz bring out the Orisa attack.
Yeah, you don't see Orisa attack very often, but the only time you do is when you want the halt and hook combo, the pulled pork, if you will.
Yes.
I think is another one of the 800 names for the combo. Revoltz, though, and Nocturns not really doing anything other than getting ult charge right now. And once we see the tanks jump in or Tiago land a hook, that's when these fights are going to happen. But the fact that Toxin could move up and get some more distance, that's a big deal for Revoltz, but that leaves the backline open on Nocturns. But AGM's going to take care of that, and this is going to be big for the attack. This is no 5v6, and they can make up more ground as the slowly but surely Toxin is moving that shield. Ooh, great hook on it to Boca. This should be an easy take.
Oh, this is such a beautiful usage of this hug and tug composition. You have so many deadly one-shot potential threats from Revoltz. You have Edigas on that Hanzo, Leon the Widow. A headshot from either of these heroes could spell the doom for Nocturns. Then you also have Tiago ready with that hook, running that hook tank machine. And so Revoltz is all about that slow push battering ram. Nocturns, they had to stay light on their toes. A single mispositioning move from this dive defense could spell doom, isolating themselves away from the rest of the team. As here, Epoch's flying without his mercy. Edigas not able to confirm the kill here, but Leon picks up the headshot.
I was just thinking in my head, Leon's been having a pretty good game. And, proves it right here with a headshot on Farah, one of the better opponents for the Widow. Edigas taking out his counterpart. And honestly, playing the better Hanzo thus far. Gonna use the res onto Aegis, even though they were already down in numbers. But Nocturns does have the ult advantage.
Nocturns has the ult advantage and the distance disadvantage here. They cannot see too much more space. It's actually going to have a Transcendence thrown out just to save the Diva here. Nocturnes recognizing that they must push back Revoltz.
Ooh, the Dragon Strike also deciding to go underground instead, not really doing a lot of damage. And forcing out that Transcendence is going to mean that Nocturnes coming into this fight a lot weaker than they could have. Edigas still has the Dragon Strike, and the hook from Tiago is going to tighten things up for Revoltz. They're going to get some more payload progress as Fricks coming out of nowhere into the backline. But hey, your Zenyatta is open to those bullets, and we're going to see that Zenyatta get taken down as well. AGM having a hard time staying alive. This tank's not really healing for him that well.
No, there is nobody left to peel for Fricks. Ocularos was one of the first ones to die, courtesy of ABM's excellent Diva Bomb, and Revoltz just running circles around Nocturne's defense right here. Nocturnes have actually yet to win a single clean team fight, and Edigas once again just pressuring out this Tracer, forcing her recall on the high ground. It costs nothing for him to wall climb there, whereas Epox has to use all of his cooldown. No!
Oh, 3 kills. The self-destruct gonna get 2 though, but the numbers are still on Revolt's side, and there is no supports remaining on Nocturnes. There's actually only 1 person remaining. But the interesting thing here is the payload could have been moving up further. Ham, your hands are in the air. What do you want to say?
I throw my hands up in the air sometimes. All right, Revoltz.
Who are you?
What's happening, man?
So I am so excited
so
because
happy.
I want the world to know that a lot of us, almost everyone on the South American side, was like, I don't know about Revoltz. But
Yeah.
Lemon, who you'll see on the desk, was like, hey, they had a hard strength of schedule and they've got an opportunity and they are proving her right. So she is the cleric, the fortune teller for Revolt so far, because they look like a different team. And honestly, a lot of it is because of Edigas.
100%. I mean, I'm gonna defend myself here. Revolt, you have made a believer out of me. I definitely was, saying, oh, well, Revolt's looking forward into the next season. That was definitely where I was going in terms of predictions, but we were working off of, that old roster. Edigas showing up, and the thing is, it's not just his individual mechanical skill, but the fact that you have such a dangerous Hanzo on your team requiring resources from Nocturnes in order to keep him, from just free firing, means that you're also opening up sight lines for Leon on that Widowmaker, who is making hay with that kind of window.
It's amazing when things go right, what could happen,
Yes.
right? But one thing that we know for sure that is amazing is our desk. And Lemon, I hope you take some time to brag about this because you deserve it. But we're going to go ahead and throw it to KT, Lemon, and LaFon on the desk.
Wait, did I misremember? Lemon, didn't you say Revoltz or Nocturnes 3-1? In our predictions?
but I had mentioned that. I know Revoltz looks
You
super bad, 'cause they're
backpedaled.
open hits, but they faced BGH and Encore looking for Org week 1 and 2, so they got stoned. But there's not a good
Oh.
representation of them.
So you're saying you backpedaled? I'm just kidding.
I still think
Totally
Nocturnes is gonna win. I still think Nocturnes is gonna win, but Revolts are not as bad as we think they are.
So before we go any further, I want to discuss the elephant in the room, and that's that we're kind of seeing some roster changes, or not even roster changes, but we're seeing some different looks from these teams. Lemon, what are you seeing? Kind of what you expected from these teams as far as the compositions, the players? I know no TH7 for Revolts is kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
What do you make of all this here?
I think my jaw dropped when they weren't playing TH7. We were hyping him up as like a huge carry potential when he played McCree against BGH in their last game, and the fact that they weren't playing him. But then it makes more sense when you look at what TH7 and Indigos play, that projectile Pharah. What I don't think TH7 plays is Doomfist. So that came out on Control Center, and LaFon, I think that really blew us away of how that worked.
I mean, it's kind of interesting, right? Because we like just to call back what we kind of sort of predicted. Tiago and TH7. We only see one of those two in the lineup, and that's Tiago, who I think on on Lijiang Tower was a bit of a bright spot. That was a bit of an awkward map for them, right? You kind of see like, okay, they're kind of slow. We talked about the storyline. TH7, someone called out. They bring Edigas in. They bring in a new Mercy player too, and that Lijiang Tower certainly looked like it. Like, I mean, we saw Gardens. It was not close. 100-0. They couldn't close out even a single fight. And then they switched to Control Center, and it's also a mess. It's just absolutely a disaster. They die with Graviton Surge. They die with Dragon Strike. They lose the map. It's just super awkward, super awkward. And I think we're kind of seeing it taking a map for them to warm up to get that. I mean, scrims are great. Everyone knows how good scrims are, how good teams are in scrims, how much is good for practice, and so on and so on. But there's nothing like a match to actually figure out where your team lies. And I think that first map is kind of what we saw there. It's a new roster, essentially. 2 new players in 2 massively important positions, and it showed.
So I want to talk a little bit about the story that we're seeing from Nocturnes, right? Because Nocturnes, as you guys were talking about, looked, I would say, as we expected when we started out on Lijiang. They look strong. They look kind of in control that whole way. We go to Eichenwald, and Revoltz is very formidable at this point. I really want to know here, Lafon, where did Nocturnes struggle when it came to Eichenwald, and how it contrasts kind of to how they had the control, no pun intended, in Lijiang Tower?
I think actually it's a kind of case where what happened on Lijiang Tower happened exactly the opposite on Eichenwald, right? Revoltz was able to sort of settle down, figure out where their players were coming, and then just create a wall. And Nocturnes, we've talked about this so much. We've seen Eichenwald a lot here in South American Contenders. And one of the things that we sort of see is, unless you're like one of the teams that is like far and away better than everyone else, like we called out who they are, you kind of see teams getting stuck here on the second point. I mean, sometimes you don't even see them captured first, but sometimes you see them get stuck on second point. And the reason why is because of all that high ground, right? You set up, and if you're not running a composition and get through doors quickly, get through the gates quickly, get to the high ground quickly, contest the Widow quickly, you just die. And it's a case where Nocturnes just aren't able to get into the backline of Revoltz, and then you've got Edigas on the Hanzo, who's just like absolutely destroying people, and opening up sightlines for Leon, who's, okay, you're a Widowmaker. You're not contested. You don't have to move. You just literally stand there. And to put it in few words, click heads. And Leon was able to do that and sort of lock him out on second. And then it opens up the door for your attack round.
And when we talk about double sniper, I think Leon Edigas really surprised me, because there's Edigas coming in, brand new to the team, and him and Leon's synergy on Eichenwald, it was something completely different from Li Zhang. They were almost untouched on this defense, and then you had this life-saving dragon strike from Edigas that comes from spawn or somewhere that cuts down Nocturnes' support lineup, and that's what ended the fight at point B and allowed them to have an offense so easy. So it's like, when it comes to double sniper, I think Revoltz are much better, at least from what we saw in Eichenwald. But when it comes to Pharah synergy with another DPS, I think Nocturnes really shined on Li Zhang with that.
Let's look forward here. We're about to go into the third map, and going into this third map, I want to know, first of all, our predictions staying the same here. Lemon Kiwi, are you still giving this? You said you were still giving it to Nocturnes. You said you still think they win. Do you still think it's a 3-1 margin, or you think we're going to a map 5?
I just don't know the map. Do we know what map 3 is yet? But if it comes to a Pharah-friendly map, I would give it to Nocturnes coming up. But if it comes to a double sniper-friendly map, I would give it to Revoltz. But still sticking to Nocturnes having that core roster. And are they going to integrate Ram? Because remember, that's their sort of their magic card, I guess, of their really star Genji player to come in. And when are they going to integrate him?
Lafon, which player are you going to really be watching going into the second one? Who do you think has the most tentative impact on the overall outcome of this game going into the second half?
I mean, it's very tough to go against Edigas. And the reason why, it's not because he's necessarily got the most frag potential or necessarily the best player on the field, but it's a new player. And it's so important to emphasize this. You've got new players coming into a roster. We don't know how long they've played together, right? It's a brand new player, and they're on such a high impact role. On top of that, on the support line too, for Revoltz, it's their two players who came in new. It's Edigas and I believe Barijan, who comes in, and it's the Mercy and then the secondary DPS respectively. You got to take those two into account. If they can continue their stellar play and still be implemented to the team properly, you got to watch those two. And counterpoint, if they end up falling out in terms of team synergy, that's also really, really important to keep in mind.
Well, I think right now what we're seeing is, I think Nocturnes have been put on their heels a little bit. I don't know if they were expecting this type of showing from Revoltz. It's not to take anything away from Revoltz, but when you look at how Revoltz has performed, to Lemon Kiwi's point, against very difficult opponents, but when you look at how they've performed, you don't really expect to see these really close maps. And then in the case of Eichenwald, a very, very strong Eichenwald from Revoltz here. So when we go ahead and look at that for Revoltz, if you're Nocturnes, Lafon, what do you need to change and address here to get off your heels and get that momentum forward as we go into Temple of Anubis?
I think it's less worrying about what Revoltz is doing and more focus on your own team play. Especially in Eichenwald, there was a lot of hesitation, a lot of missteps in what they were trying to run. They kind of come in, they're like kind of slow, they're kind of like feeling it out. They had it, not to put too fine a point on it, but they were the better team on Lijiang Tower. So we're only 1-1 here in this series. Nocturnes has to not get in their own head. You still have a tied series. You are the much better team on Lijiang Tower, and then you go into Eichenwalde and you lose out there. So the fact is, I think you put it away, you make sure that you realize you're still the better team, and you try and take advantage of that coming into this next map.
Lemon, any closing thoughts here before we get started?
Well, we're going into Anubis, and it's kind of a similar style to Control, so I would still favor Nocturnes to go in hard here, and especially Anubis, I had said, it's very, I would favor the snipers from Revoltz, but I know Nocturnes are very good on Control style gameplay, so I still got to give it to Nocturnes going up into Anubis.
All right, well, there you have it. We've got Temple of Anubis coming up next. We are tied 1-1 here in the match between Revoltz Esports and Nocturnes Gaming. We're going to go back to your casters, Ham Tornado and Booposaurus. Go ahead, guys. Take it away.
Thank you, KT Kicked Tripod. Something that I wanted to mention was that was actually Revoltz's first map win since Trials. So welcome to the club, guys. You are on the board. You're looking good, and I'm actually super excited to see Eddie Gossam Genji.
Please. I mean, if his Hanzo play is anything like his Genji play, I'm expecting some great things. Revoltz on the defense first with this Widow Genji dive. Really enjoying it. Nocturne is going to be bringing that classic 2-2-2 dive as well. So Genji v Genji. Ram is now in for Nocturne. Is going to see how he can make his mark known. Aegis sticking with this Tracer. Had a hard time getting pressure on the backline the last time around, but this time hopefully he will be supplemented by either one of his dive tanks or perhaps that Genji as well.
Yeah, Ram being in means that they're probably not going to run Pharah on any part of this map, as he is a very good Genji main, if you will. And the way that this is all kind of looking, Aegis has actually gotten, pretty good a flank path, but Leon's going to get a really good headshot onto Sentinel, who is buttered up a little bit by the rest of the team. The Genjis and the rest of the team on Nocturnes is in the health pack room, and nothing to right now. They're just waiting for Sentinel to come back before they can engage, but will Revoltz be able to take advantage of this before he does? It doesn't seem like he will, as Sentinel has made it back, but the engage has happened as we do see the electricity coming in, but not a lot of aggression here, a lot more conservative than what we're used to seeing from these two teams, but it looks like Revoltz has been pushed back to the point, and with Aegis' kill on Parisian, this is an opening for Nocturnes Gaming. That's exactly what we're going to see, as Revoltz no longer has support players, and a Nocturnes is going to make sure that Revoltz no longer has a point A.
There we have it in the blink of an eye. This is kind of the surgical dive that we've come to expect from Nocturnes Gaming. Glad that they're returning to form here on Anubis. Revoltz, like you said, Boop, they had every opportunity there, a full 6v5, choosing to play a slightly more patient game rather than diving in and potentially losing a member early on. But unfortunately, that did mean that they were perhaps just a little too comfortable, leaving Barijan and Tiago open in that back. However, now as we move on to point B, Leon is going to immediately swap off onto that Brigitte. Better to deal with Aegis and Ram with that stun.
Ooh, Dragon Blade comes out, Valkyrie comes out at the same time, and so does the Transcendence, so no support ultimates for Nocturnes. Let's see if anything's going to come out of this. Just a kill on a Parisian on Assault. That's not going to be good enough, especially after 2 goes down, thanks to a self-destruct, and the time to kill on that Zenyatta was just a little too long, but Eddie Gas is coming back onto the point, and Revoltz, they were facing a bunch of ultimates. They're going to face more ultimates coming back, but they do defend for now.
Yeah, they drew out that Transcendence from Bokeh in exchange for Adigas's Blade, which is a very good swap. Unfortunately, they were forced to use more in order to hold there, as Nocturnes really turned up the temperature, put the pressure on, and now both of the DPS, both Ram and Aegis, will have those ultimates at the ready. Tiago will have this Transcendence, but that's where Aegis' Tracer comes in. A Pulse Bomb can remove that Transcendence in the blink of an eye. Nocturnes just have to wait for the correct moment to engage here. The difficulty for Aegis is also going to be dodging Leon's Shield Bash, however.
So something that I love seeing is the self-destruct Dragon Blade combo, where you just sow a bunch of chaos into the team, and what that does is it separates people. That could potentially separate Tiago's Transcendence away from the targets that are necessary. The Dragon Blade can convert on those kills.
Birds,
Tiago is looking to use the Transcendence right when he hears that Dragon Blade come out, and he's not going to, because the kills are making it so Revoltz is going to come back with their own ultimates. Adigas is going to drop his at Dragon Blade just to confirm this defense, but the ults are actually evening up.
Yeah, Ultimate Economy now going to be a little bit more even. Tiago opening things up with a beautiful drop onto Aegis. We mentioned before that there are 3 Tiagos on Revoltz, and in terms of real names, how do you separate yourself? Well, you just turn into Baby Jonak, and you get that Tracer out of the game. In fact, he killed him so hard, Aegis is actually going to swap onto his own Brigida now. Ram, though, still has the option of this Blade. Tiago being very patient with his Transcendence now. It's just going to be a question of order of operations.
Ooh, anything on the self-destruct, it doesn't look like it, but we are going to see the combos. Ram is going to get the Dragon Blade out, but get hooped away and get taken low. Primal Rage zoning him out of the fight, completely making his Dragon Blade worthless for this fight. But let's see if just regular old left clicking and right clicking is going to be good enough. I don't think it is. The time to kill has been really long for Nocturns Gaming, but with these 2 Brigidas, these fights are going to last a very long time. The stun hit anybody? No, but the Dragon Blade does, and as of right now, Revolt's turning it around. What looked like a stalemate is a Revolt's win.
Yeah, Leon got that rally early on. AGM actually getting that baby diva kill onto Aegis, who found himself in the very unfortunate position of being in the middle of all of Revoltz's attention right there. And yet another solid hold for Revoltz. I'm really enjoying kind of the adaptive play that we're seeing from them, swapping onto that Brigida in response to that 2-2. Now, though, as Nocturnes swaps off onto their own 3-3 Goats composition, how will Revoltz deal with this? Edegas, oh my goodness. Doomfist once again, please bless us, Mr. Fisto. I am so ready for that shield disruption, diving into the backline. It's going to be all about singling out one of these tanks early on.
And what's great about Doomfist against Brigida is he actually doesn't get taken out of the punch with the shield stun. So the rally is coming out for Nocturnes. The shield stacking and the armor stacking is happening, and they don't want this fight to be long. Revoltz doesn't. Edegas needs to get a pick very soon. Self-destruct, not going to get anything. Ooh, does clip the feet of Aegis, but not enough to get the kill. And look at 405 HP. Doomfist here. Is he going to get conversion on anything that doesn't look like it, as Aegis is actually going to take him down? But in the end, this is still a 5v5 on the point, but the Coloros could prove to be a bigger kill for Revoltz there. And with Barijan coming in hot with the defensive Mercy, definitely clip that. Revoltz is going to get the defense.
Oh, I am loving this. We saw that Nocturnes were trying to adapt here. Barijan was alive way too often. So who did we see die early on in these fights on point? Be the Mercy. Immediately deleted. However, Revoltz come back with the perfect counterplay. You want to kill our Mercy? I raise you a Doomfist, peeling for her. And so Revoltz have just been able to beat Nocturnes at their own game. We see that they're forcing the attackers to play at their pacing here, changing team compositions in response to what Revoltz is bringing. However, now we have moved on into the ultimate phase of the game, and this is where Goats can really excel. Ram has that Graviton Surge at the ready. Aegis going to have that rally. So much for Revoltz to chew through here. They need to keep their Mercy alive once again.
But Doomfist is going to be having that Meteor Strike, which is actually a pretty good counter to this Graviton Surge, and that's actually what we're going to see. But with the silence on Edegas, we aren't going to see that Meteor Strike, as he got pulled into that unwilling hug instead. Tiago having to move away from the fight to avoid the self-destruct that he has rejoined. Edegas focusing the tanks, not really converting on any of those DPS characters, but does get the D-Mech, which might prove to be the winner for Revoltz on this defense. But Coloros turning things around for Nocturnes, but the way that spawns are happening, Nocturnes seem to be moving back, but the heals are there. But with Boca going down, they seem to actually be continuing this fight. So we're going to see that aggression. We're going to see the rally come out from Leon. Edegas is going to go down, and this fight is finally over as Nocturnes decides to reset.
Ooh, Nocturnes going to cut their losses over here. They recognize only 35 seconds left in the clock. They have to make every single second count there. It was even trades, but then the resurrection came back onto Toxin, which bought Revoltz crucial time to regroup their defenses. Nocturnes now, this is the last chance. This Sound Barrier going to be huge to try and buffer this team into the fight, make sure they don't lose anybody early on.
And this is huge for both teams' playoff potential, everyone. So this is a do-or-die situation for both teams. Revoltz wants to keep them to 1 point to give them an opportunity to win the map, and AGM is going to give them that chance with a great self-destruct. And with all of the other kills coming through, the defense is looking strong here on the point. Graviton Surge going to slow things down, but the Transcendence is going to keep them alive. But with 2 people on the point left, Nocturnes Gaming is looking a little weak right now. Self-destruct not going to get anything. Just kill Ram. You're going to keep him to 1 point, and that's exactly what we're going to see. Not a tick on the board just yet as the contest does come through, but with this cleanup, overtime wick will end Ham, and Revoltz continuing their great play thus far, keeping Nocturns to 1 point.
I throw my doofus in the air sometimes. Man alive, I've just eaten this up right now, Boop. I'm feeling it just like Revoltz. I mean, just the simple fact that they can have Edigas pull out what is considered to be a desperation stall hero on point B and continue to perform, get value from this Doomfist. It's just throwing Nocturns off their game. We saw a Graviton Surge, a beautifully set up Graviton Surge by Ram come through, no kills. The follow-up, the damage from Nocturns was just not there. The follow-through to actually confirm kills, convert those big ultimates into actual point progress has been a huge struggle for Nocturns. And I'm going to give huge credit to Edigas as well as the support play from both Barijan and Tiago, keeping themselves alive, being able to, pocket your fellow support, make sure that you're there, able to apply that healing during the defense. I mean, Revoltz, just all in all, playing a very intelligent game. Oftentimes, you did see them allow Nocturnes to get a little bit of percentage gained on that point B in exchange, however, for winning that war. Give them enough time, the defensive spawns will come through, and recognizing that win condition is crucial. How many times have we seen teams get too excited, too hungry to pick up frags at the expense of losing out that longer, prolonged battle, and especially against the GOATs that Nocturnes was bringing that could have spelled doom for that defense. However, they held strong here, and now the win condition is clear. They just got to get 1 point and 1 tick.
And something that Revoltz is doing that I have yet to see them do until this series is play with confidence. And I think that is really, really helping them. Overwatch is a very big mental factor, a part of it. And they're winning that mental game, Revoltz is right now, is holding them on second with no ticks is going to be hard to defend, especially the way that Revoltz has been playing that fast and aggressive style, getting onto these points. But right now, Toxic gets taken low to start this off, is going to end up surviving because Nocturnes is on the high horse now, using that Mei wall to get up there. So this is all just a game of when do you make Orisa fall? You need to get her off of that high ground, and then everyone else will fall as well. So that's going to be on the side of Edigas or Toxin, and it's going to be a Toxin in at the end as he is going to come back there, and AGM is going to get the kill though, and so this is going to be a big deal for Revoltz as AGM continues getting the kills for his team, and Revoltz gets 3 kills, 2 people left on Nocturnes. I don't see point A lasting that much longer, Ham.
Leon, it's the Leon show, man. What a beautiful dive from Toxin. Everybody had their eyes on that Winston, but nobody was keeping their flank protected as AGM came through, got in those finishing bits of damage. That was one of the difficulties, though, with that defense that Nocturnes chose. Ram on the Genji instead of the Junkrat. It's much more difficult to catch that dive with running a Genji instead of that Junkrat. And so now Nocturnes is definitely going to be feeling that sting, but they still have a chance to defend here. The good news is that they lost it so quickly that there aren't going to be too many ultimates on hand. The big one, though, will be Edigas's Blade right here. Boca still over halfway to still go on that Transcendence.
Oh, love it. Knew exactly where Boca was. Ram's going to get another kill to even this up 5v5, but there are no supports remaining for Nocturnes, and honestly, there aren't going to be a lot of bodies left either because the self-destruct's going to come down. Leon's going to get the kill onto Aegis. There's only 3 people on the point for Nocturnes. Spawns are going to help, but with that Valkyrie and the rest of the Revoltz getting that ult charge, this is going to be a lot harder. Ram's Dragon Blade needs to be huge, and it looks like it might as 2 more kills come for Nocturnes. AGM is going to get DMX, so scary situation for Nocturnes, but in the end, they do hold.
Ooh, holding on by their fingernails, though. Ram just getting that distraction blade in took all of AGM's attention away from Sentinel, who had trickled on. Potentially, if they had focused down that Winston and then turned their attention to the Genji, Revoltz might have gotten a very, very fast point win. However, as it stands, they still have plenty of ultimates on the line. Both tank ults are going to be big in terms of zoning away Ram. Ooh, Boca goes down. That's a beautiful first pick. That's going to be the go signal.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and see that engage, like you said, Ham. And another great self-destruct from AGM. Ooh, a stick's going to make things a lot harder for Revoltz. Aegis might have saved his team's life just then. But the Transcendence, remember, they don't need everybody. They just need one tick. They got to push them off of the point. And with the kills that they're seeing now, especially with that res on the Adigas, they definitely have the damage to do that. And with Fricks getting D-Max, they don't have the beef either. Sentinel's the only one on the point that can keep the point. And with Primal Rage, this has to be a huge stall for Nocturns. Dragon Blade coming out, and there aren't enough bodies to slash because they're all dead, as Revoltz will get that first tick and the win here on Anubis, going up 2-1 on Nocturns.
Wow, Revoltz bringing it in this half. Goodness gracious, pulling ahead of Nocturns, largely considered to be one of the big 4 teams in South America. What a showing. My jaw is on the ground. Look at this play of the game from Edgus, getting the drop onto Nocturns, and it was just this and more. It's the same tale over and over.
It's like confidence, right?
It's just over and over for this Revoltz team. I mean, Edgus and Barijan adding those, like LaFon said, adding those 2 new players in such crucial roles of main healer and DPS has really changed this team. I'm ready for the Revoltz revolution, man. I want to see this series win go all the way, turn all of our analysts, cause all of our analysts to just flip their tables. All the predictions were completely wrong because, I mean,
not yet. LaFon still has. LaFon could still be right.
LaFon could still be right. Nocturnes still have a chance to bring this back. But you mentioned before kind of the mental game, the importance of being able to have confidence every time you engage. And I don't see it coming through for Nocturnes.
You can like feel it, right? Like it's the energy in the air watching this game. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't think Nocturnes can come back from this. That's just my like gauge on the situation. But losing like that to the team that you're facing, right? Let's put things in this perspective, right? We talked about this earlier, but they got relegated. Revoltz did because they were last in Contenders last year, and then they barely made it back in 5th place through trials, and now they're ahead against the 4th place finishing team in group stages for last season's Contenders. And maybe Nocturnes just needs to do some reflection now and, make some improvements because they're not out of it yet.
Oh no, Nocturnes certainly not out of it. And this is a strong veteran team who has, been through Revoltz and more in their path to here now Contenders season 2. So I'm expecting them to, still play a strong game, but Revoltz, I want a little bit of whatever they had, from this last series.
They hadn't won a map since trials.
Not a map. A map, man. And so, just really great play. And the good thing, this is always good for Overwatch. Anytime we see just stellar play, right? It's not that Nocturnes are losing these fights. It's that Revoltz is winning them, just outplaying, right? So everybody can take something positive away from this. As we move into our 4th map now, going to get a little bit more Rialto. This does seem to be kind of the Hamasaurus platter that we're always casting Rialto. This will be our 3rd Rialto, I believe.
Yeah, I think we're the only ones who've cast
Rialto. Of the 3 Rialtos, this will be our 3rd.
Yeah, exactly. and moving here, Rialto is really interesting because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but all of the turns are right angles. So there are some like wide areas, like the courtyard's a big square, but all the turns are right angles. So it takes a very long time for even the payload to make that directional turn. So what we see a lot of the time are holes on A or map completions, depending on how the staggers and the kills come. We've, I think, seen holds on A previous 2 times. I don't think we've seen Rialto finished yet.
We saw a 1 point A hold and then 1 point B hold. Yeah. Right before point B, because that third point C is basically a straight shot into that big cavern.
And it's the shortest one.
Yeah, and the shortest one. So you bring up a good point though, Boop. The right angles. We see teams kind of take different approaches to this. Hanzo is certainly very strong to be using those walls to hide sneaky dragon strikes, carving through the middle of the enemy team. We also see teams decide to take, the high ground. When they go low, we go high. Farah's roaming free, able to just move over the roofs and walls and get some damage in that way. But what it basically means is in order to get distance on the payload, you have to be winning clean fights. You have to have such a strong man disadvantage that you can move the payload from this corner all the way around into the next corner, which means a big brawl oftentimes in that square after the very first bridge. But another aspect of this map that we have seen some of, but yet to see teams really exploit, is the boop potential.
Huge boot potential.
Big
As
boots.
much boot potential as my
Yeah.
name suggests. But
BDs.
one thing I also want to point out, and Lemon brought up a point, we talked about it when she said it, was this is a Pharah map. So you can definitely run Pharah, and that's why we're seeing Epochs as well. So Epochs plays Hanzo and Pharah, Ram plays that Genji. And so I do like the Epochs look a little bit more than the Ram look. Maybe he just had a rough game because Ram played pretty well in the last game that he was in last week. But I believe Nocturns won Rialto in their 3-1 loss again last week. So they've got to be feeling confident. And LaFon should be feeling confident about his game 5 because Nocturns did win this map the last time they were here.
They've done it before. They're going to try for that repeat performance, do it again. But Edigas on the Hanzo, Leon on that Widowmaker. It's all about opening up sightlines for your DPS partner here. As already you see, Widow Mine triggered.
Widowmine.
I never get Widow Mine triggers because I never know where the enemy team's going to be coming from, so they just don't step on it. This is a very,
Very nice. They know
New
exactly
feeling.
where those window mines are. That would be a really nice mini game one day. Just a nice aim thing.
Widow Mine only.
Yeah, that would be awesome. One shot kill Widow Mines. But now they're going to go ahead and push this payload. And this is something that we see very common here on Rialtos. They make it into this courtyard, and then we really see the fighting. That's another reason why Orisa is being shown on the attack here, because it can be very strong on the payload, but not going to be strong as a team right now, as they are down a member, and Revoltz is going to be able to hold this. The spawn for the defense is very far away, so they don't want to die here, and that's not what they're doing. Nocturnes is going to be able to get the full team to 6 here in a second.
Yeah, we see that Revolt's actually giving up the high ground, not going to be contesting it at all. I think they actually want to allow Nocturnes to get a little bit of distance on this payload so Edigas can take up those flanks. Epochs is trying to do the same thing here. Leon, though, is down. That's a man advantage for Nocturnes.
Yep, there is that opening and they need to make some distance. This courtyard is notoriously very, very hard for teams to push through because of that wide open space. But Aegis is going to make it much easier for them, getting 3 kills, and Epochs is going to finish them off. So the payload will be coming. A Coloras's Valkyrie helping a lot with that. But in the end, Nocturnes will be pushing this payload.
Nocturnes once again isolating the weakest target there. It would be Barijan on that Mercy, taking him down early out of the game, which paves the way for the rest of the team to kind of roll through this bridge. Plays the Toxin, zooming in, last second contest, only going to be feeding himself to 2 very hungry dragons.
Hey, junk rush. We can call that
Yes,
a junk rush,
yeah.
but no, this is going to be an engage here, and they're going to go for the res, and they're going to get it. Graviton Surge is out. Can't really see who is there just yet. The Dragon Strike, though, going to bring it back for the defense. So good decision-making on that trans res there, Ham.
Oh, wow. And then follow up with that grab kill into Dragaton Surge. I am loving it. Nocturnes, they almost tasted victory there. That's, even though, that's a very risky defense for Revoltz, they still got that mental win. Once again, Nocturne going to have to win another full team fight in order to get that point A.
Ham, the way that this is going, why not try for those things,
Yeah,
right?
go
Things
for
have
it.
just been falling for the side of Revoltz, and I love the decision-making there. As we're seeing a Widow Hanzo battle, no damage just yet, no kills. Gonna get some vision. He's gonna know where they're coming from, but maybe using the Sonic Arrow on one person might not be the best idea. Supercharger has been thrown out. There is damage coming from Nocturnes, but in the end, Edigas does get the headshot onto Aegis, so this is a 5v6 on the payload, and this point A is looking further and further as these kills go down, especially since the Boca Transcendence was very, very late there. Is it gonna be huge Earth Shatter? I was just asking if they were gonna be able to complete the res. The answer is no.
Wow, man alive. Nocturnes had to have won that fight. They invested a Transcendence just to try and get their Orisa back. But Tungsten says, I see it. I raise you. 1 hammer down. And the good news for Revoltz is that they've been rotating ultimates so well. They've just been simply winning that sniper head-to-head. They haven't had to invest anything else. So check this out. Vision for Revoltz as well as that Graviton Surge. Edigas, even if he chooses not to use that combo, he's still going to know exactly where to throw in those arrows. Gonna have to wait though. Leon's
this
down.
is bad. This is worst case scenario for Revoltz here, since the Dragaton combo is not available and the res weren't there, and they pretty much just see point A because of the picks that Aegis was able to get. And it's not about winning all of the fights in Overwatch, it's about winning the right ones.
Yep.
This was the right one for Nocturnes to win because it was their last chance.
Exactly. They had to come through. Aegis had to win that 1v1. But so they will at least capture that point A in what was nearly overtime. Revoltz, though, no panic ultimates, well, but that trance could have certainly been saved for another push there. But Revoltz, you see, setting up here, now just looking across the bridge, making that eye contact, that thick eye contact.
Thick 2 C's,
Yeah.
all capital letters. And now Nocturns is we're gonna have that boot potentially. Only ones that can do it is Diva. Dragon Strike coming and down, and those micro missiles actually taking Tiago very, very low.
No.
Oh, Graviton Surge, Earth Shatter coming and down, and the dragons are sated. They are full of nice Nocturns bodies, very flavorful.
I propose new merchandising for Overwatch League, a Hungry Dragons game. You can thank me later, Blizzard.
Yeah.
But yeah, beautiful combo there from Revoltz. Just as Nocturns, we actually had Sentinel shut down in the middle of his Earth Shatter. So the only ultimates online for Nocturns will be a Diva self-destruct. Gonna throw it in right away.
Ooh, the shield is still available, but it's actually going to clip a Leon, saving himself instead. Boca, though, coming in with the kills, and Revolt's looking so hot at the beginning. Definitely cooled down here on a point B as Nocturns is getting the kills they need to progress on this payload.
Yep, high ground now, control for Epox here. He can throw out the dragons when he gets it, but no, he loses to Edegos. It was 1v2, bud.
1v2, and Edegos is going to take the 1 instead, and it's the 5v6 on the payload. Epox has respawned. Transcendent's been taken out of Nocturns. I don't see why. It doesn't seem like there was a huge reason for it other than Aegis getting that headshot. AGM not having that high energy that he wants at this point in a time, and with that Earth Shatter, a lot of people taking dirt naps. Reinhardt will get the charge kill, but this is pretty even on the payload thus far. 4 versus 3. Leon has wall hack, so that vision will be important. Great Transcendence from Tiago. Kind of forced, actually, because of that Dragon Strike hand.
A little bit unfortunate he wasn't able to get that healing to AGM fast enough to save the Zarya from that Dragon Strike, but Toxin is back in, coming in with a Fury. Revolt, never say die, man. They throw out that Dragon Strike, get the D-Mech onto Frix, and that's going to be a beautiful stagger now for Revolt. And with just seconds left for Nocturns, they have to do a desperation push.
You're going to have to use the res on that Tuboka, so if anyone dies on the payload, they're not going to be able to res this, even with the Transcendence that could be online for Nocturns. 70 might be just a little too far away, but definitely doable. Valkyrie will be a much more important ultimate, and hey, you're just not going to touch the payload, so that's going to be it for you guys on offense.
This is actually where we saw the previous point B hold occur, Boop, in that Predators Hephaestus game. So a very strong place, a good spot for Nocturns to try and keep Revoltz from finishing out this map. I like this, though. It's a competitive game here from Nocturns. We saw that they were often able to, force misplays from Revoltz where they hadn't in the past. Tiago, a couple of suspect, transcendences throughout.
Transcendence,
yeah. The nomenclature. I'll leave that to the experts.
He had that one clutch one on B that ended up taking a lot of time off the clock because of the res.
Yeah, exactly. But then the other two potentially could have saved that for future defenses. However, somebody is going to be winning this map. No extra innings. So Nocturns, this is Revoltz, they do have clear win conditions, so they can continue to just play and work up to that Dragon Strike, Graviton Surge combination. It's almost a guaranteed team wipe every single time, especially if you're able to get that Mercy damage boost either onto your Hanzo or, even just a Reinhardt swinging free. And if you can set that up consistently, then that will be Revolt's path to victory. However, on the side of Nocturnes Gaming, we see Epox and Aegis waking up, getting those wins in the sniper head-to-head. If they continue to perform like this, they may be able to cut Revolt's DPS pressure off at the knees before they can even really engage.
And just to restate the stakes, remember, this is a do-or-die situation for both of these teams. Nocturnes at 1-1 has a little bit of cushion, but 2 losses means you got to win out the rest of the time, and Nocturnes has not faced BGH yet.
Yes.
As well. Revoltz has a much easier strength of schedule. So Revolt's looking a little bit better in terms of positioning, especially if they're able to win this map in the end. Nocturnes, this is really it for you. Do or die, playoffs or relegations. That's what we're talking about between these two teams right now. And Revoltz is going to try to make it to 100.75 on the second point to get this win. And so we're going to see the classic Rialto. We're going to see the payload get to this first angle. They're going to cede the high ground. They're going to turn the corner, and then we're going to see the fight.
Yeah, it looked like Sentinel might have tried and fought that. He did set up on the high ground to begin with, but they are going to just fight here on the square, allow a little bit more space for the snipers to roam free. We do have Epochs there on the high ground. Revolt's not going to be running their own D.Va, so hopefully their own Hanzo will be cognizant to where Epochs is positioned. Leon can't say the same for him, though.
Well, they have given a lot of distance on the payload, but they're not doing a lot with their lives, as Revoltz is going to be, their lives will be taken away from them instead, and they're going to have to reset.
Yeah, potentially coming up here against Sentinel's Orisa, maybe Revolt's own attacking Orisa would be a good option here, because as a Reinhardt, the difficulty of running that Rein shield is you have to put your body on the line in order to get any shielding for your team, whereas Orisa can simply step back behind her shield in addition to the long range damage that she has from her fusion driver as well, doing that little extra bit. However, Edigos gets, I believe, the reflex kill onto Aegis, and that's going to be a beautiful start. The go point for this new Revolt's full dive.
The res is a 6v6 again, so this is an even fight. No ultimates online for anybody, so classic Overwatch, the best kind of Overwatch. Almost gets another deflect kill there. Not enough damage. Epoch's getting the kills, headshots all around, and another defense from Nocturns. But the way that this has been going, Revoltz is going to have to kill everyone on that side in order to seed and get the reset. That's exactly what we're going to do. And a Supercharger is out.
Yeah, Supercharger out just as an extra deterrent, potentially, because Nocturns have plenty more ultimates to rotate to continue to hold this square. Epoch's Dragon Blade could definitely zone away the Revolt's support line away from their DPS, allow them for easy pickings. Oh, please no!
That was served up on a platter. That's a little bit of a choke. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. The vision is down 4 on Leon. Everyone knows where everyone is on each side. No headshots just yet. This courtyard showing that it is one of the more difficult parts to pass because of its open area. Dragon Strike not gonna get anybody just yet. D.Va's trying to get the Widowmakers. A lot of 1v1s happening right now, and Edigos is gonna win the first one, but Boca, who has been fragging quite a bit this round specifically, has evened things up. Nocturns, though, is going to keep the advantage, and Revoltz is going to be forced on.
Every time Revoltz thought that they had a man advantage in here, Epoch's coming up clutch. Holy man. He was like, there's more than one DPS player with an E name in this server. I just like to remind you.
Holy man.
Holy man. Exactly.
That's what most people say when they see me. And Epoch has seen Leon's head and has had his number this round so far.
Yeah, the snipers from Revolt's much colder this round. Could be the fact that Edigos is on this Genji rather than his own Hanzo, not affording Leon quite as much space. So that will prompt the switch onto that Tracer. Nocturns ran this on Eichenwald with middling success, but with that full dive and that Dragon Blade up, that could be the key to a point A take for Revoltz, because they are down to their last 30 seconds.
Ooh, I love this aggression, though, trying to get into the back line, especially with the Primal Rage. Dragon Strike going to zone him out, had Discord Orb on him, but Totson is still at a pretty healthy point. This is an even fight thus far. Self-Destruct's going to get nothing. Gonna go ahead and remake and try to peel for the rest of his team. Gonna go ahead and engage with that booster. We're hearing it, guys. We hear that Dragon Blade. Edigos gonna get the first pick and then get the rest. The payload is getting closer to the first point, and I don't see a world where they don't get it after this cleanup. Gonna take overtime, but in the end, Revoltz is gonna continue their life on Rialto.
There we have it. Edigos putting on his carry pants. Genji already wears a lot of armor, but sometimes you just need the extra bit of.
I definitely heard hairy pants.
That too. It's, hey, wear whatever makes you feel beautiful, boo, right? You do you. And now Revolt's going to be pushing up forward, trying to recharge some of their ultimates, get a little bit of tickle damage in, using their position to their advantage. They used almost everything they had, but the good news is Nocturns drew all of their cards as well. All that they'll have is that Valkyrie from Ocular Ross, but Barijan going to be able to match him ult for ult.
And Epoch is closer to that Dragon Strike than Edigos is to his Dragon Blade, and that can prove to be the death knell for Revoltz. They do have a couple tries. Self-Destruct has been out. Good DM. Edigos is going to get the backline, though, with the Evoke and with that Swift Strike. Ooh, great positioning on Revoltz right now. They have some good targeting. Edigos is going to prove that with another great kill on Sentinel. Almost gets a one-clip onto Widow. She gets away, but Epoch is going to go down instead. One sniper or two. Why not both? As Revoltz is going to continue their push here, and things are getting close now.
Indeed, Areno Nocturns, they can only give up potentially one more fight here, or Revoltz will slide that payload into the golden box of victory and take this entire series. Nocturne, if they want another game 5 reverse sweep, they have to hold here. They're only going to have the tank ultimates online, though. Somebody has to touch this point.
Ooh, the Dragon Blade could be the way they win this round. Nocturnes has 2 ultimates. Earthshatter has to be big, has to grab Eddie Gas. It's not the Dragon Blade, though. It's gonna whiff, but the rest of his team is gonna come back in spades, and they have 5 kills, Ham. We're standing up, our arms are raised. Fricks is the last one alive, and they reach the yellow box of victory, and Revoltz will take the win. Wow. Unexpected.
Indeed, Arena. There's going to be some fingers on chins, some thumbs on foreheads, stompers all around as Eddie Gus seals the play of the game here. I am just loving this Revoltz team. You know what? Our snipers are cold. Screw it. We got more looks, guys. I'll give you some of this Genji blade. There's more than one way to skin a Reinhardt, as it were. Bullet's not working. I got a sword for you. And it's so beautiful dancing around both of those snipers. I mean, even when you are running dueling snipers, there's only so many places you can look, especially when Widow is scoped in. You saw that Leon nearly got that one clip onto the Widowmaker, and it's just the ability of Revoltz to flex onto these different heroes that we've seen throughout the game. Doomfist, all right, we immediately swap Leon onto the Vegeta. Fine, we're gonna run full dive into your, anti-dive Orisa. All right. I'm just loving this team so far.
Eddie Gas, man.
Eddie Gas.
Changed
Eddigasm.
Wow.
Eddigasm, dude.
We
just
went there. But anyway, I need to rest a little bit after that couple games. Thanks for the ab workout, guys.
Yes.
A lot of support there in the diaphragm. But I need to take a break. But I know that there are 3 people who want to talk about this game even more than us, and that is going to be KT and the rest of the desk. Take it away.
Down.
Holy man, I tell you what a great series. What a surprising series here. We have to jump right into it, though, and I have to ask the big question in the room. Revoltz 2.0, essentially, is what we're seeing here. How do you feel about this new roster, Lemon?
I got my predictions wrong. When I said 3-1 Nocturnes, I totally meant Revoltz, but we were all hyping up TH7. I know. But it's like looking at, they're 0-8, they're going into this match. What are they really made of? And we already talked about, they went against BGH, they went against Encore, and it's like those are the first and second seed. So now they're going against the bottom, I guess, quote, bottom half of that Group A and facing against Nocturnes, who are in the playoff spot. And now Revoltz, with this win, they could start inching their way towards fourth. Not at this point, but this huge potential from them.
What do you think, Lafon? I mean, what is your big takeaway about this new kind of revamped Revoltz roster?
I think an interesting thing is I picked Revoltz to win, first of all. I got the prediction really wrong. And no, the reason why I bring that up is the reason I brought the prediction really wrong is because Revoltz leveled up immediately. Like, the first map was a different team. Like, Lijiang Tower was like, that's not Revoltz. That was something else. They come into the second map, they look 180 degrees difference. It's a complete turnaround. Then they just don't stop. They take second map. It's exactly as clean as the second one, or the third map rather. It's exactly as clean as the second one. And they go into fourth map, and it's exactly as clean as the third one. You get full hold on Temple of Anubis. They get Eddigas got Blade. I think he used Blade 3 times before Ram used it for his first. Like, it's tough to put into words just how much better Eddigas was here today than his counterpart on Nocturnes. It was just an absolute clinic on whatever hero he played. He played Genji, he played some Hanzo, just all around the better player, I think, in terms of DPS, and then Leon just backing him up too. It was really massive gameplay from Revoltz, something that I didn't expect to see that quickly.
What about on Temple of Anubis? Let's rewind now that we got that out of the way. On Temple of Anubis, we saw Revoltz with a really impressive point B defense, utilizing a Doomfist and a Brigitte. Lemon, you were in Twitch chat. Like, what do you do against this composition? Why wasn't Nocturnes able to break that defense? That felt like something that, again, right? Like, we don't expect to see Nocturnes get one held on Anubis.
It was so I just couldn't even think. Like the only thing they were missing was like a May, and they would have had the ultimate like can't touch this defense. Like it was like a Doomfist to stun you, and then you had the Brigitte coming in to stun you, and then I was also like Toxin. Well, why not play Reinhardt at this point? Make this point untouchable. But even him, like as a Winston, would dive the backline and make Nocturns' resources even unusable. So they were just on all fronts, like their defense was unstoppable on point B. And we saw Edigos bring out the Doomfist even on like control center Lijiang, where it was more of a question mark to me there of like how he will integrate that hero with the team. But that really showed on point B that their defense is one of the best I've seen in a while.
So at the end of the day, this is not the match that Nocturns certainly had hoped for. LaFon, what should be their biggest takeaway from this match here?
I think, and this is something we've complained about earlier today, it's that their team compositions have been charitably questionable. You have Azaria, right? You have 3 Graviton surges. 3! Not a single kill among 3 Graviton. Like, you have to put exclamation points after that. Like, it's not... you cannot have such a high impact ultimate get no value. Okay, I guess if you're being generous, it got Transcendence used and then nothing. So like the problem is you're running a team comp. You're using high impact ultimates. You're using high value ultimates. You're not getting value. That's the thing. If you're not getting value with what you're running, there has to be a reason. You have to come up with a cleaner look. On Rialto, it was a little bit cleaner. They run they hold till overtime on first point A. But then it's just a case of Edigos is able to come in after the Transcendence. The blade was never stopped. You have to realize and play around how, you know, your opponent is going. And if they're holding blade until you use Transcendence and using that as a cleanup, you have to figure out a counter to it. Nocturns as a whole, I think they're a step behind in how they're communicating and how they're executing. And it shows. It showed here today.
So before we walk away from this match and we go on to our next match between Breakdown Gaming and Looking for Org, Lemon, I have to ask you, who was your MVP for this match and why was it Edigos?
Why was it Edigos? I think Ham coined a new thing that I'm such a fan of, Edigasm. I mean, it's just how good was this guy on every hero he was playing, how much he contributed despite being on the roster for a week. So yes, Edigasm was like a huge part of the success and always pointing out the DPS, but Toxin I think is a really strong Winston player from Revoltz, and that's sort of surprising to say about an 0-8 team map count. So I really enjoyed his play on, especially on Anubis, and I'm looking forward to see Revoltz and how we can get a real representation of them now that they're playing teams maybe more at their level.
LaFon, what about you? Who is your most valuable player?
Just a quick aside. The little space in the wall back behind me on that side right there. I have a Doomfist poster. I've been putting it off for a long time. It's supposed to go up right there. So I think after this cast, if in honor of Edigos, I'm gonna take it out immediately and just put it right away. It's going right up there. So that's all I have to say. It's just going right there.
Fair enough. I love it. So there you have it. Oh man, this was a fun cast. I hope I get to come and be on the desk here in South America more often because I'm normally doing the China times. And A, it's really nice to see the sun. And B, you guys are really fun. So this was a lot of fun. Thank you all for tuning in for this match between Revoltz Esports and Nocturns Gaming. Revoltz walking away with the victory 3-1, and they get their first win of Contenders. Next up, we have Breakdown Gaming versus Looking for Org. But before we get out of here, I want to tell you a little bit about Broadcast.gg. Broadcast.gg exists to help you improve as a broadcaster and to put on some pretty kick-ass events like this one, bringing you the English broadcast of Contenders South America and Contenders China. We've done Contenders Trial, Open Division. We've done a lot of really exciting and fun events. And so if you're a spectator, thank you so much for being here. Hit that follow button up there. Make sure to follow us and follow us on Twitter at broadcast.gg. Spell out .dotgg. And if you're like, you know what, this is pretty cool. I want to hang out with LaFon and Lemon Kiwi and, whatever. Not really kick tripod, but, it can't be perfect, right? We've got an amazing community for you to join. Down below, there's a Discord link to our Discord where you can join a community of broadcasters and get amazing experience, whether it's in production or hosting or analysis. And you just meet a lot of really cool people. We'd love to have you. Love to help get you plugged in, get involved. Thank you so much again. We're going to be back with match number 3, Breakdown Gaming versus Looking for Org, right after this.